Hey, happy lunchtime, everybody. If you're out there and you're seeing me live now, give me a shout. Go ahead and, say hello, do whatever. Not really sure if anybody's actually watching today, but um, today is day 2 of my Facebook Live chat. So um, today I'm hoping that, we'll be talking a little bit more about some things that I think are important. Um, Today's topic, if you're remotely interested, is I'm going to talk a little bit about habits. If you're out there and you want to say hello, feel free to say hi. Say hi to everybody else online. It's nice to see a few people are watching already. Say hello if you can. I'm perfectly happy to, hear from you guys. Any comments? Any things you guys want to say? I'm up for it. Totally up for it. Just give me a shout. Hey, Lynn, it's nice to see you. Glad you're out there. Yeah, I want to talk a little bit about habits today because I think that's kind of important when we're doing this whole home sort of self-quarantine on our own, not really being able to, get out and about. I think a lot of our habits that we've kind of gotten into over time, um, they take a little time to adjust to new routines. And when 40 to sort of 50% of our day-to-day routine is habitual, um, we can really get thrown off in our, our sort of day-to-day routine if we're not sort of, used to doing things differently or adjusting our habits. So I guess that's kind of why I wanted to focus on that today. If this is of interest to you, give me a wave, give me a shout, let me know. Um, you know, um, Unconscious programming that we have, as our habits and our ways of thinking and our ways of, approaching sort of day-to-day routines. That those things can suffer when we're A, anxious, B, scared, C, in a completely new routine that's foreign or alien to us. um, hey, Stephanie, nice to see you. Jason, a few others out there, thanks for joining. Bob, Lillian, nice to see you again. So yeah, I think one of the things that we kind of forget is that our habits are pretty important to us. There's good habits, really good habits, things like exercise and meditation and eating good food and doing all of those things. We have really good habits. We also have some really negative habits. I'd like to say that I don't have any negative habits, but unfortunately I'm human. I do have a lot of negative habits, and from time to time, I kind of have to examine what it is that I'm doing and when I'm doing it. So these things like habits that we form, on our day-to-day routine, like when we're out and about and working, and when we're able to do stuff that we normally like to do, it's easier to get lost in those, or at least to sort of do them totally subconsciously. And from my perspective, and of course I'm only speaking for myself here. I hope that if you're interested, you'll say hello and tell me what you think. Hey, Sheila, nice to see you. Thanks for joining me. John, nice to see you too. How are things in Canada up there, buddy? Hopefully not too cold. um, so yeah, so I mean, so I started talking, I don't know, for those of you who've joined me a little bit after I started here, I've started talking a little bit about habits and, good and bad habits, and how this whole self-quarantine thing might impact those habits. And, it's now the right time to develop new habits, good habits. Start reading a bit more at night before you go to bed, or reading during the day, taking naps. Do we have time to do that in our day-to-day routine when we're at work? Well, maybe not, but maybe this kind of whole reset in the environment that we're in right now, this kind of fluid, not so rigid environment that we're in, because of the the self quarantine and the social distancing and all of that. Maybe it's a good time to start creating new good habits, and examining the old ones, the ones that maybe aren't serving you. My idea is, I'm actually trying to start some good new habits of, not just taking my dog for a walk every day, but doing some sort of mindful routine while I'm doing that. So maybe like a walking meditation while I'm walking the dog. It's not always easy to do that sort of thing because, you're distracted by the dog, you're distracted by the, the environment that you're in. I mean, there's beautiful scenery. There's all sorts of things that you can, you can be distracted by. But I guess if you kind of get into the habit of being mindful, which is, I guess, part of what, bottom line, I think most of the things that I want to talk about over these next coming weeks and lunchtimes is really just about being more mindful in what you do and how you do it. And actually, there's one thing I wanted to just kind of talk about real quick is somebody sent me a message after my first broadcast yesterday and said, hey, you look way too serious, smile more and that sort of thing. And, I appreciate that. I really do. I'm sorry if I come across as a little bit serious and not really kind of happy-go-lucky or whatever, but I am. I'm really kind of happy that you people are joining me. It's nice to see you, Stuart. Nice to see you, Candice. Hey, welcome aboard. I really think that we as as individuals in this time frame, in this moment, really have a great opportunity to not just kind of connect, but be social through mindful interaction. And I think one of the really bad habits that I've had is not using Facebook and social media for really what I think is good use. I've gone down the rabbit hole, found myself chasing memes and getting riled up by posts that people are putting out about thanks, Sheila. I appreciate that. Yeah, telling a widow to smile is dangerous. Yeah, I hear you. Thank you for pointing that out. But yeah, I guess kind of being serious and smiling at the same time is kind of hard. But thank you for pointing that out. I do appreciate it. But I do think that I've been guilty of having negative habits around social media and stuff. So yesterday's talk, where I talked a little bit more about digital minimalism, reducing the time that you're on your digital devices and things like that, especially during this period of time when there's a lot of misinformation going out. Hey, Tisha, nice to see you again. Thanks for joining me again. I really think that, it kind of goes hand in hand. That's why I wanted to talk about habits today, because I think, I'm guilty of it, and I know a lot of people are, that we get caught in chasing these rabbit holes, going down these rabbit holes, chasing stories and lines of thinking that we either agree or disagree with. And, like I say, I'm guilty of it. I post a lot of stuff around politics and maybe we should stay out of that fray just a little bit, or take everything that we're looking at with a pinch of salt, because there is still a lot of misinformation out there. Hey, Christine, nice to see you. Thanks for joining. There's a lot of misinformation out there, and I think it's again, it's being mindful about what we're doing and how we're doing it, and like I said, coming back to the whole idea of creating new good habits that really serve us. And everybody's different. You may feel that it serves you to be involved with a community socially online, and feeling like it's really kind of an important thing to to be involved with. Hi, Kathy, nice to see you. Thanks for coming in. It's kind of, I guess from my perspective, it's kind of important to just decide what serves you. Bottom line, everybody is different, and I know that, and I don't want to. I never want to tell anybody what to do or how to do it or anything like that. It's judgmental. Hey, Rowena, nice to see you. Thanks for joining. Um, and I really kind of feel that I'm just kind of talking about my perspective and how I see things and how I've grown to adjust my own sort of habitual behaviors and things like that. And I do take advice from other people. I do listen to what other people tell me and what other people ask me and point out to me in terms of both the positive and negative traits and habits that I have. And I think at one stage I was probably more inclined to dwell on the negative habits than on the positive ones. And the positive ones are things like exercise routines and eating right and eating at good times during the day. Not staying up too late, going to bed early, and getting up early, and facing the day and embracing the day really. And I think with from my own point of view, from my own perspective, and from my own experience. Some of the habits that I started to develop weren't great. Hand on heart, I admit that it's not unusual. But coming back to one of the things that I've read is that 40 to 50% of our day-to-day routine is habitual, and I guess I've said it a couple of times. Being mindful around those habits and really thinking about what serves you as an individual is a good, sort of starting point, jumping off point for just deciding what habits you want to keep and what habits you don't want to keep. I recently started a list of things that I want to do. Hey, Anthony, nice to see you again. Thanks for coming on board again. The idea of reading more, not online, books, like physical books. I hadn't been doing that for a long time, and I started a bunch and never finished them, and I just thought, gosh, I really got to do these things. I really, and it's from me, it's from my heart that I want to do these things. It's not, somebody pressuring me to say, Jeff, you should be reading more. As the saying goes, never should on anybody, right? Especially yourself. And I just kind of decided, I'm going to do that. And that's a new habit for me, is to start, reading more. Another new habit is to be on social media less. It's hard when I'm, when I'm here in my own place on my own, and I just think it's hard to focus, and I don't know if anybody else is out there on their own. Kathy, yeah, I know, it's kind of funny. And great, Rowena, you're like me. 3 books started on your nightstand. I think I had about 7 at one stage that I was kind of just beginning to try to get into, and that's the thing is, I think finding out what it is that I like, finding that thing again. That really just excites me, whether it's novels or whether it's self-help or whatever that, I wanted to read. And I think, I've kind of cut it down to just 2 now that I'm reading. And I think that's probably still one too many. Maybe I should just get through. Oops, I said it again. I should on myself. Maybe I need to just get through one of them at a time and not read too much. But so that's one habit that I'm trying to develop in myself. What about you guys? What habits are you trying to develop in yourselves at the moment? I mean, pipe in, please. Tell me what you're doing. To help you navigate this whole, working from home or being at home or stuck at home kind of routine that we're in. Another habit that I've just off the top of my head that I've started to develop is, and I found it really actually quite cathartic and therapeutic, is I started pulling weeds in my garden. when I was a kid, my mom used to like pay me, to pull weeds, as part of my allowance, I guess. If you wanted an extra $5 in your allowance, go pull the weeds, right? I hated it. I hated pulling weeds. It was just, God, But now it's like, I've been out there pretty much every day just pulling some weeds. It's just been fun. Yeah, I kind of, but I guess in some respects, I'm one of these guys that looks at the weeds and says sorry before I pull them, because some of the weeds are actually quite pretty. They've got like little flowers growing out of them, but they're growing in the middle of my other plants. So I just kind of think, you're going to strangle my other plant, and I really want this plant to survive. So yeah, I know it sounds a bit dumb, but I do feel guilty about pulling weeds a little bit. Maybe that's the empath in me or whatever, but is anybody else experiencing these sorts of things? Not the, apologizing to weeds when you pull them, but the setting of new habits or the reviewing of their, existing habits. Anybody out there doing that? Pipe in if you do, and if not, I can keep babbling. No, okay. I'm not seeing any kind of new things. I mean, I guess it's fine. But my yes, Kathy, that's awesome. Pulling weeds therapy. You mean therapy? Right. Okay. Awesome. Yeah, it is, I guess, a little bit like therapy. And because of this whole social distancing thing, I know I was seeing a therapist for a while, and she actually decided to go by phone or online, using Zoom, teleconferencing as a way to hold sessions. So I actually decided against doing any more. So I guess, Anthony, yes, eating very healthy and eating more, just sleeping more. Yeah. The idea, one of the ideas that I think I mentioned earlier was that I started writing down what it is that I wanted to change. And I've not hit all of those things. I've not started to do some of them, but I have started to look at other things, particularly the bad habits. And the things that cause me frustration in particular. And, everybody's different. There's different things that cause us to get frustrated, angry, all sorts of things. Yeah, there you go, Anthony. That's a good habit to get into. Do less news. Yeah. Because news is, depending on your source and how much you pull in, you end up, you do end up in a situation where, it can be overwhelming, and it can be anxiety driving. Yes, I see that, Tisha, that you've got, stacks and books. Yeah, I mean, I'm the same. In fact, I had to move all of them off of my nightstand. I had probably 20 books on my nightstand, piling up, and move them away so that I'm now just down to a couple on there that I, like I said, I'm now reading. Should really focus on just those couple of books, or certainly on one of them. But yeah, again, there you go. I did it again. I shit on myself. No, I really appreciate it. Hey, Christy, nice to see you've joined. Yeah, so, these habits are like I said, I've written down some things that I want to change, some things that I want to add in. Like I said, early on, when I take my dog for a walk, I now try to do a walking meditation. And the thing is that I just go onto the internet, go onto Google, search walking meditations, and there's tons of them on there. Even if it's only like a 10-minute walk, you can find a 10-minute walking meditation that you can listen to. Like I said, I do get a little bit distracted with the dogs, and they pull, they got to sniff, they got to do their things, but taking that sort of time to use that walk constructively is a habit that I'm trying to develop. Another habit that I'm trying to develop is better structuring my day. in a way that I feel is, just kind of doing things in a little bit different way that's more constructive for me. Scheduling time in a morning, for instance, to just get through my emails and just be done with them, and then not looking at them again until late in the afternoon or even the early evening before I finish for the day. So those are the sorts of things, the habits that I'm trying to create and cultivate, which are really more mindful to my own needs and to my own, my own way of approaching this whole, situation. But again, I'm kind of I'm kind of okay for me. Like I say, I'm an introvert, and I've been training for this all my life. This whole, shelter in place, stay at home kind of thing. I'm used to it. I'm used to my own company, and I've cultivated the ability to be sort of comfortable here in myself and by myself. And I know it's hard. I know it's hard for people to do that. So I've done that journey. I've taken that journey myself, and it's not easy. And it is a habit, that I developed some time ago, where I've taken that time. I've literally sat with myself, just by myself, with my own feelings, with my own emotions, with my own thoughts, and looked at them as an observer, I guess. So I think it's I can't remember the name of the book or the author at the moment. They both escape me. But basically, if we observe the way that we think, rather than actually get lost in the thought itself, it really does actually become a lot easier to start thinking differently, and know that you're not your thoughts, not entirely anyway, but your thoughts really do make things either easier or different for you, right? Yes, thanks, Christian. That is absolutely 100% sure. Certain. Keeping a schedule, maintaining your schedule is is a good habit to be in. So yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you for pointing that out. So yeah, this schedule that I've created for my day, my routine is 2-hour chunks where I work on the various different things that I have to. And then the ones that I need to or want to, I fit in between those chunks. And another thing that's a really good habit to get into while you're working from home, if you're not used to it, is schedule yourself some breaks. You get up, you walk around, when you're in the office or in an office environment or a work environment, your scheduled breaks, or you have time that you get up from your desk, you walk around, you interact with your work colleagues. You might, if you're a smoker, you might go out and smoke a cigarette. That's a bad habit, by the way, but that's my judgment on you. I'm sorry. Good habit would be to go out and, have a glass of water or, whatever, and sit outside if you can, have a glass of water or a cup of tea or something like that now. Those are good habits to get into. Having, yes, and Anthony, that's another thing is that when people are working from home, they've got a 5-day work week again, but like I said yesterday, a lot of people are sort of they're not drawing the line, they're not drawing the distinction between their work and their home life now, because they're not used to it. They're not used to that sort of balance between what's good and what's bad in terms of, and I guess that's a judgment, so I really shouldn't say what's good and what's bad, but what's healthy and unhealthy, really, in the balance between what their normal routine is versus what their new routine is. And that's why I say that it's really important to talk about these habits and what we're doing and how we're doing it, because this habit that we form which kind of gives us an opportunity to better manage our day, better manage our time. If we can form that sort of habit where we're in a routine that's a home-based routine rather than a office-based routine, it's really just kind of one of those things that I think would be really helpful to a lot of people. I've worked, like I say, I've done this before. I've worked from home most of my adult working career, probably more than I've worked in an office environment. So I'm used to it. I know how to schedule my time and that sort of thing. But everybody's different, and by being sort of open and honest with yourself about, like I said, what's serving you and what's not serving you, that's a really important thing to do. So, if there's any other questions or comments or anything that anybody wants to make, I'm here. I'll be here for another couple minutes, hopefully. If you're available and you want to chat, pipe in. Perfectly happy to answer any other questions or talk about anything else that you might be thinking. And by the way, anybody who wants to suggest a topic or anything that you might want me to cover, I'm happy to do that. Anthony, I think floundering is a real problem that a lot of people have, especially us widows and widowers who find ourselves particularly in a deep sense of loss, and this whole isolation piece, this whole self-quarantine piece, this lack of social interaction, the touch thing, the being able to be around other people for fear of either transmitting or receiving this virus. I really do think it's a seminal moment in our lives, and I think one of the things that I'll definitely look at that as a topic, Anthony, about how maybe to overcome that sort of sense or feeling of floundering or languishing, really, in this in this moment and this period of time while we're sort of on our own. I hear you, Rowena. Everybody has good days and bad days. I think we all do. I've seen all of these things on social media where people are talking about, being with their spouses, or being in a situation where they're quarantined or self-quarantining with people that they love, and a lot of these sort of middle-aged, and I am middle-aged, I admit it. Us middle-aged widows and widowers are a lot, for the most part, on our own, without other individuals around to quarantine with. And it can be lonely, and it is lonely. And this is one of the reasons why I have started to, build those habits that better serve me as an individual and as a person. I think, going back, it's yes, Anthony, that's actually going to be one of my, in fact, I'm going to look at tomorrow's call, Anthony, is going to be about what I describe as a calling or a purpose, a dharma. So I'd really like you to join me on that if you can. We all have one. We really do. It's just a matter of digging, into ourselves and finding that. And I know it's really hard. It took me a really long time. Yes, Christine, exactly. Our love needs to go somewhere. And that's what grief is all about. Grief is, is all that love that we have to give, but no one to give it to. I've seen that quote numerous times. And, Cheryl, it does. it's it is very lonely without a spouse, without somebody to share in this this moment of time, which is kind of one of the reasons why I'm doing this. I'm trying to create a sense of community and a sense of purpose amongst all of us. From my perspective, this isn't about me. It's not about what I've been through. It's about what all of us are going through. We are a community. We are social animals, and we crave that. We really do. And I want to share. I want people to be able to share what they're feeling and what they're sensing and what their frustrations are here. It's my Anthony just mentioned about feeling, I guess, rudderless, without a purpose. And it's okay, Anthony, we're all needy at times. Don't worry about it, brother. It took me a long time to find my purpose, what I feel is my purpose. And actually, I did this really amazing exercise. It was when I first started doing some coach training with the organization that I'm trying to get accredited with. And it was literally just sitting there and diving deep into my body and feeling and sensing what it was that was my true purpose, my true calling, and ultimately I found it. It's love. It's sharing love and kindness and being a caring person with everyone, every single time. Christian, nice to see you, brother. I hope to see you again on one of these, tomorrow or the next day or whatever. I'm going to be doing it all the time. I appreciate it. Thanks for dropping by. But yeah, love is so crucial in this time, and kindness. I see a lot of people, like I said earlier, on social media sharing stuff that's maybe not right, maybe not entirely correct, maybe incorrect, but and then I see people jumping on them, and there's all this rancor around, one party's not doing enough, the other party's stonewalling, and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, you know what? If we all just actually exhibited and could learn a little bit more kindness, maybe we'd all, and got into the habit of being more kind and loving and open. And I've cultivated that over many, many months. It's taken me a long time to do that. But I live from my heart. Okay? Anyway, I'm gonna wrap it up now, and I hope to see all of you again tomorrow. Thank you for joining me, and enjoy the rest of your day wherever you may be. Emma, I think you're over in the UK, so it's rest of your night. Thank you all for coming, and hope to see you tomorrow. We can talk about another topic which I describe as purpose. So see you then. Thanks for coming. Appreciate it.